Andrew McCoskey, SHS wrestling coach. Michelle Medlock, ECA student counsel. Frank Mizak, SHS after-school tutor. Chris Mahiran, SHS after-school tutor. Savannah Walton, SMS after-school detention. Leah Miller, volunteer assistant girls basketball coach. JD Rocky, volunteer assistant wrestling coach, SMS, SHS. Josh Sebastian, SHS volunteer assistant wrestling coach. The next one is being taken off the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve. Justin makes that motion. Richard seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Erica?
Yes.
Donations. Consider approval of donations at Salem High School for $1,805 from Salem Middle School concessions for the class of 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Becky makes that motion.
I'll second.
Justin seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Erica?
Yes.
Comments from the audience? No one signed up. Okay, we'll move on to the Roar Awards.
We're excited to be able to come back and well, hopefully, as long as we can, continue our recognition programs where we can have people in our audience. And we have a pretty special one tonight. We're bringing back the Roar Awards with a high school student, and I'm passing this award over and the recognition over to a pretty proud father. So, Mr. Minton.
Aiden?
Aiden was nominated for a Roar Award for his PSAT score. National Merit, that's right, National Merit. He did National Merit semifinals. He is now applied for the National Merit finalist. And I can't give you the numbers on that. Jennifer, do you know what the numbers are on the number of students? So, pretty special that we have someone in Salem that's qualified for that, and so Aiden is one of the ones in Salem.
Mr. Minton, it's the top 1% of the students who took the test across the country.
Thank you.
Are you guys smiling?
Can you tell?
Pretty amazing honor for Aiden, for his family, but it's also a testament to all the teachers that he's had coming through Salem Community Schools. So a pretty cool moment to have for Salem Schools, but also for the Minton family. Second, COVID really threw a wrench in everything, especially as with our recognition ceremonies. So we weren't able to recognize everyone the way we wanted, but we're coming back and doing the best we can. So we have several of our classified retirees that we would like to recognize tonight. Dr. Thurston, Mr. Minton are going to help with this presentation. And we have some amazing individuals we want to recognize tonight officially.
Before we get started, I'd like to congratulate Aiden on being one of the 1%ers. And it's my pleasure tonight to be able to recognize the classified retirees, as Mr. Acker pointed out, the end of the school year prevented us from having a normal recognition. You know, people tend to think of school and it's very teachers, administrators, very visible. People see every day, but we don't always see the classified staff who, without them, I can tell you that school would not function. They're very important to us. They're critical to our day-to-day operations.
37 years. It's awesome.
Oh.
You did an excellent job over on this year. Congratulations on your job.
Right up in there. Hectic.
Get a couple and get out of the way, so if he can get a couple here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you, ladies.
All right. I get you guys to say roar. Roar along. Awesome, thank you.
You okay? Good.
I feel awkward. I want to thank you tonight. We really got to your privilege of working. But I'll echo what Dr. Thurston said. Schools don't function without effort. So thank you for everything that you did not get recognized. And I know this little certificate pales in comparison to the thanks you deserve. But it does come from our hearts. So thank you for what you've done for our students, our staff, and this community. Thank you very much. We're bringing in some new things to Salem. And the Sagamore of Salem is our highest award this year. We're going to each month try to recognize a different business or community sponsor or someone who has made a difference in our school system. And the first one was real obvious to me. There's a long line, right? So we have several months we can recognize people. But the first one is the Sagamore of Salem Award that we would like to invite Mrs. Links to come up front, please.
You gotta come too, Mr. Lake.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Here's one.
He's gotta get up.
Sorry, I only have your license. I apologize. So again, I have to express my newness. The first thing I heard about Link's clothing was during the skate run with the girls' basketball team, and we were watching the donations that he kept providing to our
different things that are going on in their buildings. So up tonight is the high school. On the agenda, it says the Fins Up, Fins Forward presentation. Just before we get crazy, I need to do a short explanation of what that is. Fins Up, Fins Forward is this concept of real simple.
Still with me, okay.
It's set real high expectations.
Yeah, Bubba, I'm still here, thank you.
We're gonna work real hard to meet those expectations. But we're gonna have some fun along the way. Kind of zoom behind the Fins Up. The Fins Forward is, we always have more to do. We're always gonna keep moving forward. So, tonight, Mr. Albert is gonna talk about some of the amazing things that are happening in this building. Next month, I believe this is the middle school. But for tonight, I'd like to pass the floor over to Mr. Albert.
Well, I'm gonna say that we're gonna put our attention forward to the video screen that they set up for us. And, what I wanna share is, there's a lot of outstanding things happening, but it's because we have great students, great teachers, and we appreciate everyone. And so, I just wanna make sure that each of you have a chance to see what happens on a daily basis at our school. I would like to thank JD personally for his efforts in making the video possible, but also his class for taking some of the pictures and making sure that we had some video evidence of what happens on a daily basis at Salem High School. And we know we have great students because of Aiden's here, but we also have others that do great things on an everyday basis. And so here's a chance to kind of show that off just a little bit.
Well, parents go with the Fins Up. Staying with Jimmy Buffett.
You can start thinking about it.
scoot out here if you don't want to hear some of the boring business. Thank you so much.
Do you still have those, you had mentioned some clothes, I'm gonna be going down to that homeless shelter soon, I've been packing up some clothes, so. There was a guy the other night, I was at the church at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, he called me and said, "That's you." I said, "No, I don't have anywhere to go." I said, "The only thing I know to do is to take you to Jeffersonville to the homeless shelter." And I told the guy, I said, "Never on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, that was God." Looking out, yeah.
Thank you for all the things you guys do.
Congratulations again.
Thank you, Bubba. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bubba.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you, Ron.
Hey, thanks for all you guys do. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
I was gonna put officially to ask, but somebody commented on one of our posts about this. Putting something about football, and they mentioned player as well, interim coach, is that official? Or I just assumed that was a time,
Yes, I don't know.
giving him a hard time. I didn't know if that was official or not.
Yeah, it is. All right, we'll move on to the action items. Number 6, conduct a public hearing to consider and adopt an additional appropriation to the debt service fund.
I'd like to ask the board to move to close the meeting and, so they can be open for hearing.
So moved.
Yeah, second.
Dustin makes a motion, Bubba seconds. All those in favor? Meeting's closed.
Yeah, thank you. Here tonight to ask for approval of an additional appropriation to the debt service fund for the December payment in 2020. Steps leading up to this point have been permission to advertise, the actual advertising, notice to taxpayers, and the posting of the notice to taxpayers in 3 public locations in Salem. The step is left for the school board to conduct the public hearing, as we are now doing. The additional appropriation is for, as I said, the December payment of the 2018 lease rental payment for the swimming pool. That lease rental is now entered into the debt management portal of Gateway and will appear on the debt service worksheet each year until that debt is retired in December of 2025. That's why we're having this hearing. Are there any questions from the community or from the board regarding why we're asking for the additional appropriation? If there are no questions, I would recommend that the school board approve the additional appropriation, and if approved, then all paperwork associated with this will be submitted to the Gateway portal, which is new this year, as well as I'll go ahead and mail everything up there because I'm kind of old-fashioned and don't trust the state on everything exactly as brand-new items. So we'll do it both ways the first time. So I would recommend approval of the additional appropriation.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Bubba makes the motion. Richard seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Erica?
Yes.
Okay, now we need a motion to close the hearing and reopen the meeting for the next
So
hearing.
moved.
Second. Becky makes a motion to close the hearing, reopen the meeting Dustin seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Erica?
Yes.
It's been reopened. Number 7, conduct a public hearing for the 2021 school budget.
Okay, would ask the board for a motion to close the public meeting so they can be opened for the hearing.
So moved.
Makes a motion to close.
I'll second.
Dustin seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. Meeting has been closed.
Okay, thank you. On tab number 7 in your packet, there are 5 sheets I'd like to go over with the board. The first of these, page 1, is the calendar of budget advertisements. Beginning back on September 18, 2020, a notice to taxpayers, which is also referred to as Budget Form 3, was uploaded to the Indiana Gateway site. On September 21, the capital projects and bus replacement plans were uploaded to the Gateway site. And on September 21, the notice to taxpayers, again, Budget Form 3, as well as the capital projects plan and bus replacements plans were uploaded to the Salem Community Schools website. So between September 21 and now, more than 10 days have passed as required by Indiana Code. And tonight, we are conducting a hearing, 24 calendar days, as a matter of fact, following the notice to taxpayers on the Gateway site. On October the 26th, we will conduct a meeting here at noon to adopt the 2021 budget. Tonight is a hearing and requires no action on part of the board. Now, October the 29th, the budget forms and accompanying materials be uploaded to the Gateway site. There may be questions on the calendar of the advertisements. Page 2 is a description of the funds and their functions. We are advertising for 2021 a total budget of $17,888,337. The education fund is $10,731,269, or 59.99% of the total budget. And within the education fund, we use that for employee salaries and benefits directly related to instruction, instructional supplies, materials, and equipment directly related to instruction, staff development directly related to classroom instruction, special education cooperative charges, and our vocational school charges with Prosser in New Albany. The debt service fund, which makes the lease rental payments for our debt, is advertised at $2,395,924, which is 13.39% of the total budget. And as I said, that'll make lease rental payments for the renovation and improvement projects. The operations fund is advertised at $4,657,950, or 26.04% of the total budget. And it encompasses what used to be the bus replacement plan, the transportation operating fund, and the bus replacement plan. So it entails the employee salaries and benefits from those areas, instructional supplies, materials, and equipment not directly related to instruction, staff development not directly related to instruction, payment for the purchase of land, fees for professional services, maintenance and repair of buildings, computer and related equipment expenses, maintenance of that equipment, utility costs, property casualty insurance costs, technology staff costs, bus driver costs, vehicle maintenance personnel costs, fuel costs, maintenance on vehicles, bus parts, supplies, and tires, and purchases of school buses. Last, the rainy day fund is advertised at $103,194, which is 0.58% of the total budget. This supplements purchases in the general fund should state funding decrease, and it's funded through balances, cash balances in the operations and the education funds. Any questions on the funds and their functions?
Yeah, Dr. Thurston, just
Yes.
a quick question on the rainy day fund.
Yes,
As you have represented here, 0.58% of the budget.
total budget.
Right, how's that compare historically, where we've been in the past years, just ballpark, you know, off the top of your head? Up,
I
down?
do. Typically, we've had it set at, it's a little higher this year. Typically, it's been right around $75,000, $80,000. So it's a little higher than it has been in the past. Picking it up a little bit more because our costs are now a little higher on that retirement buyout we just authorized for the next 3 years coming, and the retirements that were preceding that group. So we'll need a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Did that suffice, or?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine,
thank you. All right. Page 3 is the notice to taxpayers I mentioned earlier in the calendar of advertisements, or was typically referred to as Budget Form 3. This is uploaded to Gateway and allows anyone across the state to view when our public hearings and when our adoption meetings are held. It's up at the top, it states the public hearing date today, the time, the location, and then the adoption date of October 26th at noon and in this location. I suppose that might be useful to someone living in Maryville who's interested in what's going on in Washington County, and that's good. That's good to have that. It also shows what the Department of Local Government Finance estimates our levy to be in the school operations fund, the max levy, and it's advertised. The state is designating that as $2,820,201 in 2021, and the property tax cap credit estimate at $542,000. Up until about 2 years ago, that number typically ran around $268,000 year to year, but some projects have taken place in the county, and that's brought that number up a little bit. Below that are the various funds that we just discussed and their budget estimates, which shows anyone viewing this form what the advertised budgets are, what the estimated levies will be, and we advertise high in order for the Department of Local Government Finance to bring down the levies so that we capture the maximum amount available to us. So these levies in box number 3, the maximum estimated funds to be raised are slightly higher than what the state will actually certify. Then box 5 are the current levies, and then the percentage change. Again, the percentage change is higher because we are advertising higher. And we will have the adoption meeting scheduled for Monday, October 26th, 2 weeks from today at noon in this location. Any questions on the budget advertisement? Thank you. Page 4. Page 4 is a showing or listing of the past and projected levies and tax rates. The yellow areas on this page indicate advertised amounts, tax rates, and assessed valuation that are advertised. We have reduced the total amount of the education fund and the operations fund from the last couple of years. We anticipate some challenges going forward from the state, and we would like to be prepared for that.
And it's going to be, everyone across the state will be challenged, all school districts will be challenged. I think public entities in general will be challenged for the next 2 years after this next budget biennium is established. What I'd like to point out in the lower left, we always use a lower assessed valuation to advertise, which advertises a higher tax rate. And then the Department of Local Government Finance will bring that down when they certify our budget. In 2020, the assessed valuation for our district was $436,035,047, which was up from the previous year, 2019. In 2021, the auditor's office has certified for pay 21, $435,938,493, or a reduction of $96,554. You might just as well say that it's flat. At that number, 96,000 is not very significant in terms of the tax rate. Won't show up much. We used 400 million as the assessed value to calculate the tax rates on the budget forms. So we have a higher advertised tax rate, which will be brought down by the Department of Local Government Finance. Moving over to the far right at the bottom. So our projected levies, what I believe the levies will end up in the debt service fund for 2021 be $1,795,000 versus the $2,015,000 that's been advertised. And I believe that, I'm hoping we have the $2,820,201 versus the $2,999,000 that's been advertised, although we will have some tax cap impact with that. So the projected tax rate, I believe the projected final tax rate for 2021 will be a 1.0587, $1.05 or 6 cents, you round it up, per $100 of assessed valuation, which is an increase of 0.0239, or essentially 3 cents over the current tax rate. Does anybody have any questions on the rates, on the levies and the rates and the AVs for advertisement in the next year? Okay. Last page. I can hear the relief out in the audience as I say that. Last page. The last page is a view of projected revenue and expenditures, and I emphasize the word projection. Projected beginning with the period of July 1, 2020 through December 31 of 2021. Is that we are on a 18-month budget cycle, and although the state has moved to a fiscal year to pay school districts our state support, and we typically look at the budget as a calendar year, we build the budget based on 18-month budget cycle from July till December of the ensuing year. And with revenue, and I used a number, ADM number, student count number 1750 to use as that part of the revenue. There's other revenue besides tuition support. There's vocational school funding, there's special education school funding, there's honors grant funding, and there's tuition support. But the calculation that I used for the miscellaneous revenue in the budget forms is based on ADM, or a student count, 1750. So we're looking at, if you look at the green box at the top, each fund is listed, and the projected revenue beginning with July 1 to the end of this current year, and then the projected revenue from January 1 through the December 31 of the ensuing year, January 1 of 21 through 12/31/21. And then we add those two together, that's the 18-month cycle, to arrive at the total projected revenue on the far right of the green box at the top. Now, we contrast that with the red box at the bottom, green for money, red for lack of money, maybe. These are projected expenditures. And again, use the word projected. And each fund is listed. And for the same time cycle, you know, we look at historical data. I've been tracking the budget each year for the 17 years I've been here, and we look at a historical track, and I would point out to you at the bottom of this page, I made notations that projected revenue amounts are subject to funding reductions, assessed valuation declines, and economic downturns. There's no guarantees. These are projections. Conversely, projected expenditure amounts are based on historical data and I left out the A in may be impacted by economic downturns or unexpected expenses. Now, I think we're going to have an economic downturn after this as we enter into 2021 and 2022. I hope it's not as severe. I hope it's not as bad as 2008, but it doesn't appear to be very promising at this point in time. In 2008, the Great Recession impacted the funding for 2009, 2010 pretty significantly. But we persevered and made it through, and we shall do so again. So the green box beside the red box at the bottom are projected cash balances I believe we can anticipate on December 31st of 2021 in the Education Debt Service Operations Fund. And I anticipate us utilizing all of the rainy day fund in 2021, which would leave us a cash balance overall of $1,880,097. Anybody have any questions on the projected revenue and expenditures? If there are no questions, there is no action required tonight, as this is a public hearing. The budget adoption, as I said earlier, has been advertised for Monday, October 26, 2020 at 12 p.m. in this location, and as advertised in the Notice to Taxpayers or Budget Form 3. If there is, on that day, we'll provide lunch for the board, and Jana will take care of what you'd like to have for lunch that day. And if there are no questions, we'll ask for a motion to close the hearing and reopen the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Well, makes the motion.
Second.
Becky seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Erica?
Yes.
Meeting's been reopened. Action item number 8, consider a resolution for the local income tax in 2021.
Thank you. The local income tax for 2021, we anticipate for the district will be $217,233. That is off of the, that's been provided by the Department of Local Government Finance to all the counties across the state. The board can determine where to place the local income tax, and the recommendation before the board tonight, this is one resolution. If we achieve this tonight, it's one less that you have to deal with during the budget adoption, and it's not really relevant to the budget other than it helps fund the operations fund. It's important, I feel, that we use it in the operations fund It amounts to about $18,102.75 per month going into the operations fund, and it helps to offset what the state has projected as the $542,000 tax cap that we would not collect as a result of the circuit breaker. So as I said, this is one that you would not have to deal with on the 26th if you approve it tonight. Jana has copies of it for signatures. I would recommend that you approve it tonight and have one less resolution to deal with on 26th.
Dr. Thurston, how was this money allocated in the past?
When we first started receiving it, we earmarked it for the education fund, but then, you know, as the tax caps increased and the property tax revenue decreased as a result, it seemed like a better idea to transfer it over to the operations fund. It can go to either place. For example, there was one year where we used it the first 6 months in the education fund, and then as we tracked the operations fund, it seemed more prudent at that time to make the transfer over to operations. So they could go back and forth. But this year, all of this year of 2020, it has been placed in the operations fund each month. And it seems like that's where it does the most good at this point in time.
All right, thank
Does that help any?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you, Dr. Thurston, can you give just I know we talk a lot about property tax caps and the impact of property tax caps and the significance of property tax caps to budgets. So can you just give a 20-second description of how that's impacting our ability to function? Maybe 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Well,
Just for the purpose of the general public.
people with property values at a certain level are protected from tax caps. And I'm not, you know, Tom's worked with that, you know, with local governments. So I'm not adept to the exact numbers as much as someone else might be. But when projects are added to the debt rolls of the county, all entities have to share that. So in the past where we had a $268,000 tax cap, then when other projects came on that weren't ours, but came on for the benefit of the community and the county, they were added to the tax caps. So the tax caps grew to $542,000 is what the Department of Local Government Finance. And so when those projects come off debt, when they're paid off, or as we pay off projects, then I believe that will drop somewhat, or the tax cap will drop somewhat. But the tax caps is just a way to protect taxpayers from paying taxes to entities who are funded by taxes. So,
And that's where I was going with that question.
yeah,
But
we are.
the reality of it is, as a school corporation, you've got less revenue coming in.
We do now.
Your-
Well,
your costs really don't change, so you have to make changes based
We do.
upon the reduction in revenue that's coming in.
exactly,
Is that a fair
exactly. We may, in operations, we may have to start looking at slightly used school buses instead of brand-new school buses
Right.
to help save a few dollars. We may have to look at how can we better utilize our supply budgets? How can we find better deals, you know, than what we're currently using? It's just, it's a day-to-day thing. You just try to maximize your efficiency, and it's a challenge. But as I said, you know, we're going to persevere. Salem is not too big to fail, but we're big enough to persevere. And that's the way I look at it, so that's what I believe.
We may have to go from the 10-foot Dr. Thurston statue down just to 5 foot.
I don't want us, no, we don't no statue. It'll be torn down like the, the ones that are being, no, or painted on, but I hope that helps.
I'd
Yeah,
make a
thank
motion to adopt this resolution.
Dustin makes a motion.
I'll second.
Becky seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Action item number 9, consider a resolution for the transfer of funds from the education to operations fund for 2021.
Okay, this is another resolution. If we pass it tonight, we don't have to worry about it on the 26th. We're currently doing this. We've done it since the budget process has changed. The state of Indiana has determined that school corporations should not transfer more than 15% of their state support from the education fund to the operations fund to make up for the expenses we can no longer pay from the education fund. We get the funding, but we have to transfer it over for like utility costs, personnel costs. This year, we had a resolution that stated that we could transfer up to $174,667 or $2,096 annually from education to the operations fund. We have never transferred more than $159,165 per month during 2020. And if we did that for 12 months, that would be $1,909,980, which is right at, very close to the 15% revenue in the education fund. Now, what we have done this year, we've had 2 months of 3 payroll expenses. In those months, we did not transfer any of the $159,000. We left it in the education fund. And and then the next month, we only transferred $50,000. So we've actually transferred less than what we anticipated. So when we turn in our Form 9 to the state, it'll show that we are below. We're hoping to be at about 12.89% of the 2020 revenue, which will be well under the 15%, and it will keep the distressed unit and appeals board off our back. And that's what we want. We don't want the distressed unit appeals board coming down here paying us a visit, because then they'll admonish us for spending more than we're supposed to out of the education fund. So I'm recommending tonight that we follow the same resolution that we had currently, that we would transfer an amount up to $159,165. We're taking the $174,667 out. And then I track it month to month, year to year, to see what the trends are, to determine if that full amount should be transferred or not. So,
Thereby keeping us below the 15%.
trying to, yeah, we need to be, we need to be.
I'll make that motion to.
Ron makes a motion. Bo seconds. All those in
Thank
favor,
you.
raise your right hand. Erica.
Yes.
All right. Number 10 on the action items. First reading of updated classified policies.
So in your packet is non-certified personnel benefits. There's no vote on this tonight. The action item is to begin the discussion of updating our non-certified or non-classified individuals as far as updating their handbook, policy manual. it was a little bit dated, and I want to give full credit to Mr. Minton. He has done 99.9 to infinity work on this document. Only reason we are not moving forward, there are a couple areas that we want to have further discussion on. One is getting the exact language about retiring and the length of time needed for retiring due to extenuating circumstances such as COVID. We want to make sure we get dot the i's, cross the t's with the exact wording. And then the second is the consideration of a potential sick bank for our classified employees is similar to what we have with our certified employees. And I'm going to defer here to Dr. Thurston in just a second so he can explain further about that. But tonight, instead of reading the entire document, just for the beginning of the discussion to look at this, we would then hopefully recommend a vote on this updated policy at the November meeting. But I'm going to have Doc explain just a little bit about a potential sick bank for our classified employees.
Right, we did a survey with the Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents asking how many school districts across the state had sick banks for classified staff, and it was about a half and half split. There were probably slightly few more that did not and did have sick banks. Some sent me some information, some sent me some language that they have in their policies for sick banks. So what our plan is to use a survey,
Survey Monkey.
Thank you, Survey Monkey, to see how many of our classified staff would be interested. Because you have to start a bank, you have to build it with a contribution. Our teaching staff, through their collective bargaining agreement, has a sick bank, but each new teacher has an opportunity to contribute 2 sick days to that bank, and then a sick bank committee manages those days and takes requests from members who find themselves in illnesses that exceed the number of days that they have accumulated. So what we're interested in at this point is to find out how many of our people are interested in contributing days, which certainly the sick bank is an option and should be considered the strongest option, or perhaps a policy that would allow classified staff to contribute days to an individual that is needing them. We want to look at all options, want to explore everything before taking a recommendation to the board. So I think that's pretty much the long and short of it.
And just kind of going back over it, they do have to exhaust all of the sick days they have.
The current sick bank we have with the teaching staff under the collective bargaining agreement is they have to utilize all their accumulated days plus take 2 days without pay before the awarded days from the committee kick in. Thank you. Clarifying that.
Yep, and that would be, so this came about from conversation between administration and us as a school board, so to look out for our non-classified individuals in the circumstances we're dealing with today, such as COVID. Hopefully this goes away, but it's not going away anytime soon. So it would allow them some options, along with some other stuff that the federal government offers, as well as the 14 days with COVID and stuff of that nature. So I applaud them for taking it, run with it, figuring it out, and giving us some viable options to offer our people.
Well, and we want to point out too that other schools do this too, so.
Some schools
and
do.
it has been successful at other places.
Yep.
Businesses and schools.
Yep, a lot of colleges do it as well. Any other questions or concerns on that? No. Thanks again for doing the legwork. We appreciate that. We'll move on to number 11. Consider approval to declare equipment useless and obsolete.
From time to time, we have equipment that has over the years become obsolete to us. Very
high school has a category including up to 300 library books that have been either updated with newer editions or electronic editions as the e-readers become more popular. You know, e-readers are kind of interesting. So I was talking to one of the language arts teachers one time, and they told me in summer school that freshman boys like to use the e-readers because they can't see what page number they're on, so they can't see how thick the book is and how far, and that's me, exactly. You know, so I like the e-readers, because I don't like to only be a few pages into a really thick book, so I prefer that mode of reading. So we've updated some of those books. So, you know, over time, they become either replaced or useless, and the technology staff does a really fine job of removing these items and finding the proper disposal process for them. And we would recommend the board approve the list in the packet of the useless and obsolete items.
For the school books, for our library books, could that be something that the Friends of the Library in our community could use possibly?
I would think that Mrs. Hazelwood could contact them. I will ask her to see about that, see if that's a possibility. I can't answer for her, don't propose to, but certainly we'll investigate that and see if that's an option or not.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Dustin makes a motion.
I'll second.
Becky seconds. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Erica?
Yes.
She's still there. All right, now we're gonna move on to items from staff. Anybody has anything to say? Questions, concerns? Nothing at all? New board business.
Non-action.
Oh, non-action items, school improvement plans. Back to,
This is me selfishly. I just want to make sure we had this on the agenda, so when we come back to this October of next year, we don't let it get off our radar. When we shut down, when the state shut down, the Department of Education said you utilize your existing school improvement plans for another year. What we've done is just added the COVID reentry component to the school improvement plan. This time next year is when we would be adopting a new school improvement plan for each of the buildings. So again, it's probably more for me, so I don't let anything slide off the docket moving forward, but you have all the, I think Jen emailed all the links to the school improvement plans. They are exactly the same for what Dr. McCormick said to do. We just added in the COVID component of it. And again, this is just really more for me, so I don't let anything slide for us moving forward.
We need to make a motion on it?
Nope.
nope, no, yeah. Number 12, now we're moving to new board business. Do you want to talk about opening facilities up? We talked about that in the meeting here. Was brought up as to allowing AAU to open our athletic facilities inside. Going further.
Sure. Right now, we're monitoring the increased COVID cases at this interesting point of the season. So we keep seeing COVID cases go up, and we see it impacting our neighbors to our west. So what we're going to do is continue to monitor. We want to get people into our facilities, whether those are youth programs, AU programs, whatever. We have tremendous facilities, and we want our ability to utilize that. We also want to be prudent and not create a situation where it mitigates a potential shutdown based on COVID. So we're balancing it out. We had I think, a really good discussion. I think we can move forward, however, with our walking track. I just need to do a couple dot the i's and cross t's and allow some possibility with to allow our community to come in and utilize the walking tracks. And I was always in the morning, correct? I think that was right.
Primarily,
Yeah.
but not exclusively. but most of them are in.
Oh, okay. So those are kind of some things we just gotta tighten up, but we think that might be the beginning of that process, to allow some use of our facilities again. But kind of what we had discussed, and we'll continue to monitor, and see what's most prudent to do, so we maintain the best educational opportunities for our kids, but also allow opportunities for our community to utilize our facilities.
And we will look again in November. It gives us 2 weeks after spring break here to see what happens. Also, the outside facilities are
Still open.
to football practice, baseball, softball practice, soccer practice, stuff of that nature. Any other new board business? You want to talk about the insurance that you looked at, that you quoted? Nothing? Anything from you guys on Richard? Erica?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Next item will be the superintendent's report.
Mine's real quick tonight. We kind of front-loaded, and we'll continue to do that at the beginning of each board meeting to try to highlight different aspects and show some of the positive things going on in Salem. The only thing I'll just remind everybody, and Doc has said it, we have a special meeting on October 26th. It'll be right here. It'll be at noon. We'll do a live stream if possible. Well, I know we can pull that off. But that's really the only business I have or anything new that I wanted to share. I'll pass it to Dr. T, Mr. Minton, Mr. Scomp, anything you want? Everybody good? Okay.
We have several, Jana has the resolutions, claims, for board signatures following the meeting, please. Appreciate it.
One more on the positive, we did win an overtime football Friday night, so that was pretty exciting.
Yep, and our soccer girls played in the sectional championship on Saturday,
Yes.
so, lots of positive things going on.
I got a couple positives, had some football kids volunteer to, they pretty much cleaned the entire bleacher section, both on the home side and the away side, the other day. On Sunday, just volunteered to do it. It wasn't something they were asked to do or anyone was asked to do, but they cleaned it up, so I was pretty proud of those kids for that.
Talk about grants. This year, if you include our safe room grants, past year, we provided over $8 million in grants for the corporation. If you take out the safe rooms, it's $1.268 million. So we're very proud of that. Very much used for our corporation.
Yeah, given the current situation, I think we went back to school with 117 kids coming off of online and back to in person. And
All reports went well. The COVID restrictions as far as spacing create difficulties for every school corporation, every school across the United States. Those are the realities. But our goal is to have every kid on campus, in a classroom, only if it fits the family's needs at this point. So we're pleased to have natural breaking point right after fall break that over 100 students and families decide that this is the time to come back. We'll do the same thing again at second semester to allow students to go from the online lines to in person, and we anticipate more doing that at that point. But all of our building administrators have done a great job preparing and making these adjustments. Mr. Scomp's done a great job helping with the transition from online to in person. So there's no perfect scenario right now. And we're going to continue to learn. So the process we utilize this time will reflect what worked, what didn't work, and we're going to come back to it again. I'm positive end of December, early January.
also for some of you that are running for school board and some of the information, and maybe this is your first meeting, you've been to multiple meetings, but this information is given to us a week prior, and usually prior to that, me and these three guys here usually meet and go through a lot of stuff we put out and then pass on. So this isn't a night that we all show up and these are handed out and we read through them. You have these prior to, so just glad to see some of you here in attendance, and look forward to serving with some of you as we go further. Our next board meeting will be October the 26th. That'll be the special meeting here at noon. And then our next regular meeting will be November the 9th, 2020. Any more positive praises?
Well, hats off, and I know we said it last month, but again, to the parents, to the kids, and everybody that's onward ho, and that we can have another day at school.
Well, when we started this school year, we didn't think we'd get through one football game. We're about to end the football season. We got through a soccer season. Kids are staying in school. Mr. Scamp has been a huge addition to our school to give us that ability. So we're prepared for a lot of different things, and mainly to stay safe and keep kids in school. I just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Becky makes that motion. Otis seconds it.